Hi and welcome to Fab Parks. Today is a big day when I can finally put this video online and say everything I know about Universal coming to Europe and especially to the UK. Now, why am I saying I can finally say it? Well, for you to know, I work for the Comcast group, and around 1 month ago, we kind of been unofficially told that we were looking for a piece of land around the UK to potentially open a theme park. Now, as you can expect, being part of a multinational company that is also on the stock exchange market, those kind of things are internal and need to stay internal until they are officially announced out there. So I had to kind of keep my mouth shut, and being a theme park enthusiast and part of a theme park community was like a lot. But now we can say that. But what I wanted to do was like kind of drop a little thing, online that I could then show you today, saying that 3 weeks ago on a YouTube video, I dropped a comment replying to this guy that was saying, I wish he could be in UK, and I replied, stay tuned. And this was like nearly 3 weeks ago. Stay tuned because yes, he's gonna be in UK and it's gonna be announced quite, it's not going to take a long time to be announced. And here we are now. It's been officially announced, officially confirmed by Comcast. It's also worth mentioning that there are no other official or unofficial rumors or news internally that I can share, because literally there is nothing on this project yet, and I think whatever we know has been already announced by Comcast officially in the press. But I want to do this video just to share with you the excitement, just to have a quick look at the history of Comcast in Europe. Also look at the location Bedford has been chosen and discuss pros and cons of that location. And then kind of share with you, the excitement, why this is a massive news for Europe, for the industry, but also what challenges I think Universal will have to face when opening a theme park in Europe. And then we're gonna go in super speculation mode and think about how the park might look like, what kind of IP we're gonna use, what kind of attraction, and in order to do so, we're gonna do a little investigation in the office. Stay tuned. Then, of course, we're gonna mention PortAventura because it was kind of part of the rumors. And if you manage to stay awake until the very end of this video, I'm gonna tell you who I think should buy PortAventura in Spain, and clearly is not Universal. So let's start and let's talk about the history of Universal in Europe. So the history of Universal in Europe is actually, it starts in the 90s. You wouldn't be surprised probably to know that when Disney announced that they were gonna open a theme park in Europe, but then turned to be Paris and turned to be Euro Disney, of course Universal said, okay, we might just follow, which is something quite common. They've been doing that like in lots of locations where Disney is opening, they just follow and open in the near surroundings. At that time, in the 90s, was, on the other hand, an American big theme park opening in Europe was not an obvious move and an obvious choice. So back then, Universal actually had lots of plans. There were already 2 sites identified, one being in UK and one being Paris, just really close to Euro Disney. And they were in touch with local authorities, with the governments. They had business plans, they had projects, they had actually the park kind of designed already. And there is a really good video. I'm gonna put the link in the description down below. If you wanna know everything about that story, go and watch the video because it's really, really interesting and intriguing. Back then, Universal was kind of ready to kind of launch the project and go to fruition, but what they decided to do was like to hold on fire and check first how Euro Disney was gonna perform in the European market. And well, we know that Euro Disney, especially at the beginning, was a proper disaster from a financial point of view. They went kind of bust 10,000 times, and they've been, saved and resaved and refinanced and all that. But clearly, it was not the success, especially from a profitability point of view, that Disney envisioned. And so it makes complete sense that Universal, after seeing that, say, well, we're not going to open, as planned in Europe. But back then, they actually decided to be part of PortAventura. We're talking about, I think, mid-90s. They had a quote in PortAventura, which became Universal PortAventura. Now, PortAventura, it's a really lovely park. It's the kind of super generic theme park in Europe. And it was rebranded as Universal, but it never really became a Universal theme park. So they were not the IPs, they were not like the usual attraction that Universal is known for. They were not like all the movie and cinema based attraction. So it was called Universal Mediterranean. It's been like that for years, but you couldn't really see any imprint of Universal in the theme park itself. And it was then, I think, 2004 when Universal just stepped out and they decided just to basically leave Europe from a theme park perspective. Then, in recent months, probably the last year, there were rumors about Universal thinking about coming back to Europe. And at the same time, PortAventura was perfect timing, to be honest, announced that they were on sale. They were available for people to buy them and acquire them. And therefore, lots of enthusiasts and lots of, experts of this field, they say, well, clearly it's Universal is gonna buy back PortAventura. And the rumor kept like building up with even people finding files and patent for the Spanish market from Comcast for new coasters and things like that. And I can tell you now, well, clearly, this is not the case. And I think it kind of makes complete sense because if PortAventura has never been like a proper Universal park, currently, considering how the Universal parks look like and the kind of lineup of theme parks where they go across the globe, a Universal PortAventura, unless they do a massive restyling and retheming and they destroy half of the park, otherwise it would end up being like the black sheep of a lineup of theme parks. So it didn't fit back then, but it would fit even less nowadays. So, said that, clearly was not PortAventura. As I said, I'm going to tell you at the end of the video who should buy PortAventura. But without further ado, we know now that it's going to be a Universal theme park built from scratch. It's going to be in the UK, Bedfordshire, around Bedford. So, without further ado, let's see the location and what I think about this location, pros and cons. So the location has been announced is Bedford in Bedfordshire, which is let's say 60-70 miles out of London. So what are the pros and cons of this location? I think pros, first thing, it's really just out of London, and we know that London is well connected with the rest of Europe, got lots of flights from nearly anywhere, but also there are direct trains from France, from the Netherlands, from Belgium, and all that. So it's a well connected location because it's just out of London. Then there is another thing which is not a coincidence. It's actually on the way to the Harry Potter studios. So when you look at the trajectory, basically, when you are going to go to the Universal theme park, you're actually passing through the Warner studios of Harry Potter. And now, giving for granted or assuming that Harry Potter is going to be one of the IP used in the UK, and we're going to go back on this one later, then it makes even more sense for them to have a kind of massive land if you want, or the country if you want, for a Harry Potter enthusiast being the UK, which makes complete sense for the UK being the UK. And also, as I said, this location is not a coincidence that it's exactly on the same trajectory and it's there where the studios are already. But we're gonna go back on the Harry Potter topic in a second. Then the other pro, I think, which might be perceived as a cons as well, is that British people are theme park enthusiasts. For whatever reason, which I really don't fully understand. If you know, put it down in the comment. But it feels like they are more into theme park more than anyone else in Europe. So opening a theme park in the UK, you know that it's gonna be a hit, just because of course your audience is there. Also, though, it can be like a cons, it can be a negative, to the extent that people from the UK are actually traveling a lot, and they are the highest, the most important nationality of visitors from abroad for both the theme park in the US, say Orlando and California and all those, and also for Disneyland Paris. So the fact that they travel a lot and they're kind of founding quite a lot of, generating quite a lot of profit on those parks. Now, of course, if you go and open a big park at their place, for sure it's going to be a hit, it's going to be a success. But on the other hand, you don't want to kill the kind of tourism that is already there and is driven by people from the UK visiting other parks abroad. So if you open something really big at their, it becomes their home park, then what's the point for them in traveling? And all the other parks are going to suffer and get less of their income. So this one is one to watch, and we're going to go back on this topic later when we're going to talk about the attractions. Now, what are the cons? Well, I would say just a couple. And the first thing, which is probably not obvious, but I want to mention this one, is that after Brexit, people from Europe, they require a passport to travel to the UK. And if for people from the UK, it makes sense to have a passport because it's the only ID you can get. So everyone's got a passport. People in Europe, they got national IDs and they can use that national IDs to travel across Europe. Does that mean that Europeans don't have passports? No, of course, if they travel abroad, they do. But it's not obvious that everyone has got a passport just to jump on a plane. So in that context, opening in the European Union rather than in the UK or in Europe would have been a bit easier for people just to travel to to that theme park. And then the elephant in the room may be the weather. Now, when they opened Disneyland, or Euro Disney back then, there was always like the brief was, let's try to find a weather which is similar to California and Florida, where it's always sunny and all that. And then they ended up being out of Paris, where it's like freezing, it snows, things like that. Now, opening a theme park out of London, don't expect Caribbean weather, and so again, it feels like they found a location which is weather-wise really different from the weather that we are used to in the American theme parks. Anyway, say that, yes, there are a couple of cons. No location would have been perfect anyway, but I think that from a connection point of view and for that Harry Potter situation, I think it's a great location, and I can't wait to see this coming to fruition. Now, let's have a look why I think this is a massive news, but also why I think there are challenges. So yeah, I mean, you've probably seen already online the excitement and the enthusiasm, not only from enthusiasts, but it's all over the place. It's a big news. Well, yes, we're talking about Universal, first thing, which is a major player in the theme park industry. When we are talking about them coming to Europe, which was something that, as I said, has been done before, but not really 100%. Full experience, and now they are talking about opening a theme park from scratch. Then it's a big news because in recent years Universal has delivered quality in terms of attractions and themed land and everything. So thinking about them coming with that kind of standard and building everything from scratch, it's a big thing. It's a big thing also for the industry because Europe is gonna be in the bucket list now of lots of enthusiasts all over the world, and they might extend and visit other theme parks. And let's not forget, building a theme park from scratch is gonna be also a lot of money for ride manufacturers. But also, it's a theme park from scratch in Europe, which is a kind of unusual thing to see and to witness. Because if you think about that, well, recently we've seen lots of brand new theme parks being opened, either in Far East, most of them China, or in Middle East, let's say, Dubai and Saudi Arabia and all that region. But it's really hard to witness a brand new theme park opening from scratch in Europe. We had London Resort, yes, the multi-million, billion, trillion pound project, which went past 25 times even before laying down a brick. But apart from that, we have to go back to Energylandia, which opened a bit rushed, if you want, in Poland, and it's not really like a massive or an amazingly beautiful theme park, is it? Or we need to go back 20 years plus and go back to Madrid, Warner, where they opened a theme park from scratch, which back then was really good, amazingly themed, a really solid lineup of rides, and a lot of American vibes in how the park looks like. But this happened like more than 20 years ago. So the fact that Universal is coming, building from scratch, considering the kind of quality they've been delivering in recent years, it's a massive, it's a huge news, something to be really excited about. But there are challenges as well. And challenges are not really for us, but are more for them, for Universal. And what are the challenges for them? Well, I think the first one and the biggest one, it's around competitive environment, competition, price point, and how much people are spending in theme parks. Well, I just visited Universal Orlando, but when you go there, they happily charge $150 per day per park, happy days. In Europe, it's a different thing. First thing, the let's say gate price has to be around €50 because this is what people are used to. Even the Harry Potter Warner Studios is £50 more or less. But then, actually, the prices are super discounted always, because there are 2 for 1, second day for free, and then you can get promotions on the packs of crisps or whatever, and then you got Groupon, or there are discounts always on. And then there are the annual passes, and this is, I think, Merlin is the biggest offenders, because they go with annual passes where you can get in every single Merlin park for 12 months, not one season. And when they are, Black Friday, whatever, you can buy them for £60. It's 1 year, all the parks. And but also Merlin has got lots of affiliates that are selling the parks with discounts up to 60%. So to say that, just to give you some examples, I was in Phantasialand Winter Tram and I paid €20 to get in one day. Merlin, if you calculate how much you're spending with annual pass and how many times you're using it, you're probably paying like £2 or £3 per day at the end of a season, at the end of a year, actually, at the end of a 12 months. So just to say that the perception of how much a day in a theme park should cost in Europe is pretty low. Also, people tend not to spend a lot of money in Europe in theme parks. Why? Well, because most of them are doing day trips. And even if it's not a day trip, they're unlikely to sleep in the hotel in the park, just because usually there are plenty of accommodations outside, or they are not far away from a city that you want to visit as well. Then people tend not to spend a lot of money in food, drink, merchandise and all that. To the extent that I've seen many times, especially in Germany, people having like their lunchbox with them without even spending money in the park for food. But generally speaking, the perception is that when people are going to the US, it's a kind of holiday pack, so they go and they want the full experience. While theme parks being local, they are perceived more like the day trip, not a lot to spend. They are more on a limited budget, or they want to spend less. And this is really important because, of course, it's what kind of killed the profitability and the incomes of Euro Disney back then. And it's what actually stopped Universal from opening in Europe in the 90s. So it's going to be interesting to understand how they want to position themselves in terms of price point and how they're going to tackle a competition, which is actually quite good because the theme parks in Europe are not bad, but it's really, really cheap. And then UK, it's even worse because kind of dropped down the price point into such a low level, which is really hard to compete, or I would say it would be impossible for Universal to come here and charge £150 for 1 day entry. It wouldn't happen. So that is gonna be probably the biggest challenge. But now let's go in super speculation mode and see what kind of attraction can we expect in Universal Great Britain, or whatever it's gonna be called. And in order to do that, we're gonna move to the office. Today I'm in the office and I'm trying to look around if there are any hints for the new theme park in Great Britain. Let's have a look. Well, that was useless, wasn't it? But in order to talk about the attraction, I want to comment and flag you a really interesting point raised by Alicia Stella from Theme Park Stop. First thing, thumbs up to Alicia because she's doing an amazing job. Well, generally speaking, she's always been doing it, but now with Epic Universe and the updates, the construction updates are an amazing coverage. But also she did a really interesting video, which is in the description down below, around Universal in the UK. And she said something that I think it's an interesting point. She said that Universal is likely not to carry over any existing attractions in the UK, so not to basically copy and paste or do exactly the same thing. And this is linked to what I was saying before. So UK people are actually main visitors of parks abroad in the US, and they don't want to kill that kind of tourism. So on one side, yes, they're gonna capture all the European, but generally speaking, Europe are already like visiting US to see the Disney and Universal parks. And if you open here a copy and paste of what is already there, Velocicoaster or high-grade motorbike or whatever, then you're gonna kill the flow of tourism going to US. Keeping in mind also that when they go in US, they spend a fortune, while when they are in Europe, they tend to spend less. So I do understand, and I kind of understand where she's coming from. I think saying that there is not gonna be anything identical, I think it's a bit too extreme. Anyway, based on what I've seen in the office, No, that was just to show you that there are some IPs and some characters or movies that are so close to the Comcast group that you're gonna find them like anywhere, in any office, in any division, in a way or another, they're gonna be there. And I think for Universal, what they're gonna open in Europe, considering that it's gonna be like the only theme park in Europe, has to be a kind of park designed for general public. So one of the tons of parks that we got in Europe, which are usually made of coasters, dark rides, water rides, and an area for kids. And I wouldn't expect Universal to do anything different. Hopefully, they are not gonna overload it with what you can find online called screen-based crap by Universal, which is a really nice way to say, don't put too many projection, film, movies, cinema, 4D cinema, projection-related attractions. Try to kind of diversify more. I have to say that considering what they've been done in recent years, they really raised the bar but a lot, and they've been delivering such an amazing quality in terms of theming, in terms of attraction, that thinking that they're gonna use that kind of delivery quality to build a full theme park from scratch, this is really, really exciting news. Now, keeping in mind what Alicia Stella said, what can we expect in the United Kingdom? Well, I think there are some areas that you cannot really not have. And let's start with Jurassic. So Jurassic World, Jurassic Park, whatever it's going to be called, I think it's likely to be one of a themed land. I think we cannot not have the iconic water ride, which is like a must. And then there is probably going to be kind of coaster of some sort. I would love a clone of Velocicoaster or a flying coaster or whatever, but something has to be there. Then probably there's going to be Harry Potter. Well, we said it earlier. If you open a theme park and you're Universal, Universal has got the right to use Harry Potter IP in any theme park in the world, and it's an agreement where it's 10 years long, but has been renewed already and is likely to last for at least 40 years. So you're opening a new theme park in the UK, you got the right to use Harry Potter, of course you're gonna use it. Now, how? We don't know. Same attractions, new attractions, whatever, but I think, as we said, also, the location and the fact that Harry Potter, it's really UK at the end of the day, because you got the studios, but then you got also the musicals in London. There are lots of locations across London. And so you open a theme park, has to have Harry Potter in there. And you got also, King's Cross and the platform. So it can attract, lots of enthusiasts, which probably they're already coming to London for other reasons, right? If they got even the Wizarding World of Harry Potter in a Universal Park, it's like, okay, definitely there. So Harry Potter, we say 100%. Jurassic, yes. Probably Minions, why not? They've been pushing quite a lot, and Minions also being always used in any advertising and communication by Sky. So it would also make sense still to push in that direction. And then Nintendo. Well, why Nintendo? Because if you think about that, Harry Potter and Nintendo, they have been like the recently acquired IP rights. And they also being like spread quite consistently but regularly in every single theme park owned by Universal. So Nintendo is gonna arrive in Epic Universe, and is gonna it's gonna arrive also, I think, in China. It's already in Japan. It's already in California. So it's getting kind of spread out everywhere. And it's an amazing land, and again it's driving lots of tourists, so I would expect that to be in the UK lineup, and maybe why not also with the Donkey Kong extension already. And we mentioned Epic Universe. Why? Well, because I think Epic Universe is giving you the kind of scale and size of what Universal can do. They are opening the third park in Orlando from scratch. It's got 10,000 coasters, 10,000 attractions. It's massive. It's heavily themed. So if they're gonna do something of that scale and of that level of detail in the UK, that's why I was saying this is a really, really big news. But say that, so in terms of attractions, I would give kind of for granted to have Harry Potter, for the reason we know, Nintendo, yes, Jurassic Park, and probably Minions. But as said, it might be complete new attraction and never seen before attractions, not to cannibalize the touristic flows from Europe to the US parks. And then, as said, I would expect the lineup to be like the typical lineup of coasters, dark rides, water rides, and an area for kids. And I really hope that Universal is gonna leave a bit alone all the projection and cinemas related attractions, which if you visited Orlando, you clearly understood that they're just too many and too repetitive. So here I think we should balance. It would be ideal for me, for them to do Universal in Europe, in UK, to be like the best of Universal all over the world. So go there and take what is the best attraction, the best 2 or 3 attractions here, okay, let's do them there. And all that. That would be amazing. But I said, we don't know yet what kind of direction we're going to take in terms of IPs, but also in terms of attractions, if they're going to be carryovers or if they're going to be newly designed. Now, here is the end of the video, but as promised, I'm gonna tell you who I think should buy PortAventura, and this is Merlin. So, why Merlin? Well, because Merlin has got a huge presence in the UK, and then they're trying to expand in Europe, some bits in Italy, some bits in Germany, but that's about it. Spain also, it's like the destination and the place where lots of people from the UK are going on holiday. They go even holiday homes there. And so there is already the kind of touristic flow between the UK and Spain. Now, also, PortAventura, it's got an airport which is like around 20 minutes away, which is Reus. And if you look at this, it's connected with direct flights only from the UK, so it's like it's kind of screaming out loud UK Spain. Also, you know, they could put it in the Merlin annual pass deal. In that case, they could have like people just, you know, flying by. And also, as said, UK are really theme park enthusiasts, and they are already visiting Spain, so I think it would be the perfect combination. Now, if we were gonna do that, and I think they are not, probably they're not interested, they haven't got the money or whatever, but that would look really like an acquisition, the acquisition they did with Gardaland in Italy, because they are taking a really nicely done theme park, and then they can destroy it and ruin it as much as they can and as much as they like, same as they did with Gardaland. Apart from joking, no, I'm saying that they are taking one of those really highly developed theme parks. Also, last bit that goes in that direction, as I said, this is like pure speculation, pure fantasy, but PortAventura has been working with Sony Pictures for Uncharted, and Merlin has been working with Sony Pictures for Jumanji. So you see, we got even the same partners and same IPs. Say that it's not gonna happen, but I wanted just to drop this, you know, funny note and subscribe to the channel, because, as I said, currently we don't know anything within Comcast Group more, but maybe we're gonna have a bit more rumors or, you know, things unfolding. Also, subscribe to the channel, because I'm gonna share with you as much as I can and whatever I know. But also, as you know, in the UK, there is gonna be all the planning, permission, and consultation stages. So this thing that has been confirmed by Comcast to be at a really early stage, and the plan is potentially to open a theme park there, is likely to trigger in a near future lots of next steps, which are going to be like the consultation of a local community and the local authority, and all the different planning permissions. And same as we saw with Epic Universe, they need to kind of share the plans with as many details as possible. So we are likely to see quite a lot through that process, which is gonna be really interesting to follow. Say that, I cannot share with you how excited I am about this news finally confirmed. So subscribe to the channel, and as it's about time now, Merry Christmas!